Go Quail, Alison. Good evening, everybody. I'm back. I'm actually back this time. I took some time off. Truthfully, I was kind of steamrolling through the rest of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and kind of, went down a rabbit hole. You know how it goes. Anyway. So, what have we had in the time since I last put a video up? We've had the confirmation of Dizzy Lizzy as the new Prime Minister. Woohoo. We've had Edwina Curie, a woman famous for sucking John Major's, for being caught sucking John Major's dick, trying to convince everyone that they don't worry about the bills, everyone. You put this foil stuff behind your radiator, it'll be fine. Use a swear, you'll be fine. This is how far it's getting now. So, I thought, let's have a look, see the news, see what's going on here. Right, already I'm seeing amusing things, so let's have a bit of a scroll. Pardon me. Okay. I'll do that. Okay. Well, that's not what I was expecting. Really, Liz Truss cancels Queen cancels Truss meeting after being told by doctors to rest. I might go into that, but that's already quite funny. Come on, let's see what's going on then. Well, I'm sorry, what now? Calls for removal of Truth Social from app stores after Trump's QAnon meltdown. What? I've seriously missed out on some stuff by the looks of it. What? Oh, the rain's starting. My God. Okay. Let's have a look. So I'm trying to go as far down as possible before really getting into it, because there's a lot. Well, what we can say is that one of the first things I want to do is get into who is in government. So, where is it? Boris Johnson. Where is it? Where is it? No. I'm having a problem. What the hell? I am having some serious problems in trying to find the news. Okay. New Tory cabinet. There we go. Right. New. Yeah. Fun. Yeah. Anyway. So. Yeah. So. We have the main one that does my head in is one of the last videos I did was about the thing with the DWP, and I cannot believe who she's put in as health secretary and the deputy prime minister. I just so here we go. So we've got Therese Coffey, former um, former secretary for the Department for Work and Pensions, the woman who snuck in that little bullshit of forcing a lot of people who can't work to work over the summer. The Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng, former business minister, I think, or business secretary. He's one of those that keeps coming up with some stupid bollocks to do with tax rises, helping not tax rises, tax reductions to increase our our economy. What? James Cleverly, not so cleverly, is the new foreign secretary. I'm not going to put a judgment on James right now. I want to see him in his job, but this is the one I'm worried about. We got rid of Ugly Patel, only to have Suella Braverman as Home Secretary. And from what I've been hearing, that's a bit, yeah. She's not exactly centrist, to put it that way. Ben Wallace stays as Defence Secretary. I'm not a big fan of Tories as it is, but you could do worse than Ben Wallace, definitely. Nadeem Zahawi, and he's been doing a good job. Might as well keep him there. Nadeem Zahawi, Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. Sneaky motherfucker. Levelling Up Secretary is now Simon Clarke. Don't know much about Simon Clarke. Think he's a Brexiteer. Jacob Rees-Mogg, in charge of the in charge of business in the economy. Fucking bellend. I hate him very much. Like Kemi Badenoch, she's another one like Mogg who. What I mean, she's not like Mogg. She doesn't try to pretend she's Victorian, but she likes to be incendiary. Let's put it that way. Chloe Smith. I've seen her face before, but I don't know her. She's the new Work and Pension Secretary. I don't know. I'm not sure. She'd been a minister in the department in September last year and was an early supporter of Liz Truss. Oh, fantastic. Mother of two, given all the clear from breast cancer. Keen cyclist. Well, Norwich. No idea. Yeah. Professional service firm Deloitte. I've heard of Deloitte. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure Deloitte are a suspect company as well. So, yeah. Alok Sharma stays as the COP26 president. What a shock. Brendan Lewis, by the looks of it, is the Justice Secretary. Fantastic. Kit Malthouse is the idiot who was in charge of the police, is now in charge of education. Apparently. Fantastic. Ranil Jayawardena. I have no idea who he is. He's new to me. Anne-Marie Traversi. We're going somewhere I don't want to go right now. I don't like the name Trevelyan. You can complain at me all you fucking like. I don't like the name Trevelyan because it is not associated with a nice history. Chris Heaton Harris is the new Secretary of State to Northern Ireland. I don't know who he is. Former Chief Whip. He's also apparently a qualified football referee. Former wholesale fruit and vegetable wholesaler. Right. Yeah, again, it doesn't... I don't really know. I recognise him. Alistair Jack, Secretary of State for Scotland. No idea who he is. Heard of Buckland. He's a bit of an idiot. Penny Mordaunt is now leader of the Commons. Fucking great. I think that was Mogg's position. Oh no, Smart Spencer's position. Lord True. Lovely. I have no idea who he is. Michelle Donovan, Culture Secretary. She's a fucking idiot. I've heard her come out with some moronic stuff before. Jake Berry, never heard of him. Minister without portfolio. What the fuck does that mean? Chief Whip is now Wendy Morton, who looks a bit like Anne Widdecombe, weirdly. Chris Philp. God, I've seen him on LBC. He's now Chief Secretary to the Treasury. I watched him on LBC, and I've seen the clips of him facing off against Mick Lynch, and it's the one where he's lying, and every time he says a lie, which is almost every other word, Mick is there to say that's a lie. Yeah, that's a lie. That's a lie. Yeah, it's a fucking legend. Michael Ellis is the new Attorney General. No idea who he is. Chief Lee, yeah. He's former Cabinet Office Minister and Paymaster General. He supported Rishi Sunak. Former barrister. Edward Argar. I've seen him on LBC. I can't quote anything right now, but on one of the LBC panel things that I watched, the Ian Dale thing a couple of months back. Everything he said, I was shouting at my laptop. It was hilarious. Vicky Ford's another one, Minister for Development. I've sat here and screamed at my fucking screen because of that moron. Tom Tugendhat gets a place in the Minister for Security. Fair enough. Now, of the pile of shit that we had in this leadership contest, like, my choice was Tom Tugendhat or Ben Wallace, purely for the war footing. People can argue with me all you want, but we've barely got a military at the moment. James Heapy becomes Minister for the Armed Forces and Veterans, replacing, and he, oh my god, he said some fucking shit that I kicked off at a couple of weeks back. I can't fucking remember what he said. Fuck. I have to try and look for it. And then Graham Stewart, Minister for Climate, and I think he's been an idiot as well. Why do these idiots what is wrong with these morons that they have to be that incendiary? Right, I'm going to do something I've not seen elsewhere. Yeah, and I'm going to you won't see it, but you'll hear it. And I'm not going to play all of it, but it's going to be Liz Truss's PMQs. And I'll be playing that in a bit. And I'm going to comment on it. What we got? Sorry, I'm trying to look through my history at a second, and I went through a load of a few days of just music and stuff. So yeah, this was it. Fucking, I said about Edwina Curie earlier. Well, this was the thing I was talking about. Again, you won't see any of it.
We are actually not helping ourselves.
You won't see any of it. You'll hear it. But
you want it the way you want it.
You talk, I finish. That's the rule. I'm getting that promotion.
Abbas.
To nail this guy here.
I just wanna be free.
Why YouTube? Why? So yeah. Good morning, Britain. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, you just hear what's going on.
Last week, the former Conservative MP Edwina Curie took exception to Martin calling the cost of living crisis a catastrophe. She said it would be better to advise people of sensible steps to take and to stop pretending that government can fix it.
We're not in the 20th century anymore.
But in reply to her, I'll ignore my own, because the reason I called it a catastrophe is because it's a catastrophe.
Edwards of Conway. Last year I spent 129 grand on energy. I received this quote yesterday for £782,011. What? £2,500 a week to 15 grand a week. Any suggestions on how I move forward and no Boris Johnson? I will not buy a new kettle.
And as for giving tips to people on how to reduce their heating bills, I may well have been doing that for quite a few years. But I wasn't the only one to reply. Butcher and business owner Ian Edwards pointed to his new bill of nearly £800,000 and said, "Catastrophe, Martin, you're wrong. It's not strong enough." Ian joins us now from Conway in North Wales, alongside Edwina Curie, who's in the Peak District. Good morning to you.
Now, you can't see the screen. If you've watched this clip, then you know what I'm talking about here, but I'm looking at the screen and I can see Boris Johnson cut out in her living room. I wonder if she wanted to try and give a blowjob to Boris Johnson. What I'm talking about, she's too old. Anyway.
You both.
Edwina,
Good morning, Borada.
Borada and
Borada.
Edwina, good to see you this morning. And good of you to come on the programme to talk about this, because it caused, well, quite a lot of heat, didn't it, on social media. What is it about describing this as a catastrophe that you take issue with?
Well, Martin's always been
My money is rolling
expert.
in. I don't
have
know what
huge
you're talking
respect for
about.
him. And for all that there are lots of tips on his website, actually, I think it's important to use whatever means you can to give people good advice. And he is the expert on this. I'm not. I mean, let's be quite clear about this. Government cannot do everything. That was the point that I was making. And those of us who can should be doing whatever we can. We're in a war here. We are in a war. The whole of Europe is...
Right. Britain, personally, is not at war. We need to prepare. We need to start preparing for it. But in of itself, Britain is not at war. Not technically. Cyber war, maybe, but no.
at war on this, and it's because of what Putin is doing, turning off the taps. Even though the United Kingdom's in a much better position with regard to energy security than many other countries like Germany, nonetheless, we buy our gas on the international market, and that means that we're going to have a very, very tough winter. I don't minimize that, but what we have to
That's exactly what it sounds like you're doing.
do is not get emotional about it to the exclusion of using some common sense. Try and sit down, try and think.
Right. This tunic, this wool tunic, right? The clothes I tend to wear are suitable for cold weather. Okay. But the thing about living in a free democracy is not everyone is forced to wear the same shit. She's about to make a very ridiculous argument as well.
Think about what we can all do, whether it's in our businesses, whether it's in our homes. Not everybody can, I accept that. But many of us can do something. And when we can, that helps everybody else. And we
They're putting the onus on us.
really have to be cool and calm. Panic and emotion actually it drains the energy, whereas what we really need to do is conserve the energy and use it well.
Okay.
Conservative. No, like. How about you actually listen to the people who are getting emotional because they're in a they're getting into an emotional state for a fucking reason, you stupid fucking whore.
Just before
No,
we
I don't
carry
think
on,
I'm going too far with that.
do you have a cardboard cutout of Boris Johnson in your home?
It's just... I don't know what to say about it, honestly. Edwina Curie has a cardboard cutout of Boris Johnson in her front room. It is weird as fuck.
No, he's on his way up to Balmoral.
I'm going to rewind that slightly.
Whereas what we really need to do is conserve the energy and use it well.
Okay, just before we carry on, do you have a cardboard cutout of Boris Johnson in your home?
Notice exactly what Susanna said there. A cardboard cutout of. Boris Johnson, not Boris Johnson himself. And then listen carefully to her answer, to Edwina's answer.
Oh.
No, he's on his way up to Balmoral.
Is she joking? Or did she think that Susanna was actually talking about Boris Johnson? It just shows how off her fucking head she is.
But sorry, are you at home with a life-size cardboard cutout of the Prime Minister?
Oh, we had a fundraising party a month or two ago, and
Ooh, a fundraising party whilst people are fucking starving. What a fucking shock.
he insisted on attending.
And he's, listen, at least he's staying there, so he's got a role somewhere. Delighted to see it.
Here's one of my suggestions for a tip, something that's dirt cheap. Martin knows about this sort of thing. If you put some of this behind your radiators, it really...
What she's holding up is, I don't think it's actually foil, but it's a piece of paper that's on one side got a reflective silvery foil coating. I have seen it, and yes, they can be useful. But this is taking it way out of context. She does not know what she's fucking talking about.
really works. It makes the whole room nice and warm, and it means that you can turn down your thermostat without it causing you any more discomfort. I mean, you know, Martin and Susanna, most people my age have lived in houses without central heating, but we are dependent on it now. And just that kind of little thing makes such a difference. Moving the sofa away from the radiator. You don't want to be heating the sofa. You want...
In fact, depending on the sofa, in this country, with the amount of houses that lack suitable insulation, heating your sofa up, or sitting on a sofa that's you know got the thing behind it, I could see that being better for you. Just saying. At least from my experience. This woman is ridiculous.
to be heating the room. If you've got
Edwina,
Like, the thing is if you're using it, if you're using the, and thinking about it, if you use it to heat up a sofa, right, and again depending on the sofa, it can, they can trap that heat. So for quite a while. So you don't have to use as much in one go, whereas you have to use more up to heat up an entire room. And because of the amount of housing in this country that has a lack of suitable insulation, yeah, you use more of it to heat up. It just...
Forgive me.
There's
nothing wrong
with
with
that kind of thing, you know.
There's nothing wrong with the tips, and the tips are right, and there's lots of great detailed tips out there. But ultimately, let's be plain. We have an 80% rise in the price cap in October. We have another predicted 52% rise in the price cap in January.
That's Martin Lewis.
We were 7 months through the 10-month assessment period of that, so that's likely to be in the right ballpark. That will bring a typical bill in the UK to £5,400 a year.
I understand that's a projection, and it might not necessarily do that, but bills are already rising fast and swift. So who knows?
Pensioners, you're talking pensioners, tend to have bigger than typical bills because they need more heating on.
Yep. Because they feel the cold more.
£5,400 is substantially over half the full state pension. Well,
so
bigger
over
than
50% of that pension goes on, you know, the bill, plus the food bills and such, and rent. I mean, Scotland, I heard, is doing something I fucking think is legendary. It's if I can find the story, I'll do another video, a separate video on it. But it was I think they said they were going to freeze rent and energy. No, not energy bills. So rent and something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was quite substantial. I was quite surprised.
Than that over the old state pension that is less, and more for people on universal credits and benefits who get less amount than that. Those tips you're suggesting, and I've been giving them for years, if they would work, I would be out there talking all the time only about that. They are not enough. Even Liz Truss seems to have come around to the idea that that's not enough. And I think that was what people took issue with. The idea that saying that some small tips, incremental 10, 20% savings, 10 or 20% savings do not cover a 50% rise in April, 80% rise in October, and 50% rise again in January. I think that's the frustration.
Yeah, but Martin.
I need to get the book, Martin.
Yeah, of course, and we're all very frustrated about it, and government is going to
You're not. You're just frustrated that people are bitching about it.
be doing a lot more. They've done a certain amount, nowhere near enough. I totally accept that. But if none of us do anything else, if we expect everything to continue, to have the house at the same temperature, not to have to put on a sweater, then we are actually not helping ourselves. And part of all of this...
Right. Government is supposed to be foundation, okay? It's supposed to, this is why I will consistently argue with the right on, even on the far left, on the smallest state you could possibly get. I don't believe in massive state control, but I also don't believe in a small state, because I lived under a state that was able, well, at least first part of my life, I grew up under a state that, would look after those who were worse off more often than not. In the last 10 years, I was dropped off a cliff. Youth centres gone because there is no profitable use. Shutting down fucking libraries. Oh, everything's moving online. I don't fucking care. You don't shut down fucking libraries. And now apparently people are having to use them as warm banks, when a lot of them have been shut down. Every single problem we've got right now could have been mitigated by something that the Tories could have done years ago, before the pandemic. This isn't just war related or pandemic related. This is Tory related. Pure and fucking simple. Everyone has voted Tory since they fucking came in is at fault for them being in power right now. Which means they are partly at fault for the problems of right now. That is a hard truth, but it is a necessary truth. Because, I'm sorry, everyone who voted Tory in the last 10 years is partly at fault for the shite that we're in now. Because we were all warned. All of you. And you didn't listen. And you'll call me arrogant. You were warned. Not just by me, by many people. But oh no, I like this guy. He sounds like someone who's just like me. Even though he's nothing like you. None of them are. I am losing my shit. I'm losing my shit with people who agree with Edwina Curie. there are people out there who will agree with her. Why? And if I ask that, I don't get a logical answer. I wish I would. I would love to get a logical answer. I don't think it's going to happen. Right. Okay, now, I said earlier I was going to look at PMQs. I'm going to do so. So, here we go.
House this winter and beyond.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, there you go. Ah,
fridge, lots of milk, loads of
bloody adverts. Ah! Crying out loud. Right. So, yeah, there we go. Oh, fuck, crying out loud. This is getting on my nerves, right, so.
beyond, because the parents.
Time for our country. I am determined to deliver for everybody across our United Kingdom. I will work constructively with all members of this House to tackle the challenges we face. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I warmly welcome the Prime Minister to her place? It's her first PMQ and it's also mine. In a leaked audio tape, the Prime Minister is heard saying that British workers need to put in more graft and that they are lacking in...
Yeah, you know that little inside voice that we all know Tories have of, you know, the poor people are all lazy, they don't give a fuck, you know. They're all liars, they're all lazy, they know what they're talking about. Like, the inside voice kind of seemed to come out for a little bit.
Skill and application. She also wants to take away their basic workers' rights. In my Erdington constituency, the latest figures from the Commons Library show that children over 7,000 households are living in child poverty, and that 68% of those households have working parents. So does the Prime Minister believe that thousands of working parents on low income in my community should just put in more graft?
Well, I congratulate the Honourable Lady on her first Prime Minister's question. And what I am determined to do as Prime Minister is to make sure we have an economy with high wages and high-skilled jobs. And the way...
So, just like Boris Johnson. However, I have a question. How are you supposed to get these high wages when you're going to be arguing tooth and nail with people on strike? How does that lead to high wages? How does cutting taxes lead to high wages?
The way I will achieve that is through reducing taxes on people across our country and boosting economic growth. That is the way that we will make sure we get the investment and the jobs that people deserve.
It's a lie. Surely everyone knows this by now. Private companies don't invest unless it's for their own damn good. Not for the country's good, not for the good of the government, for the good of itself, of its profits. And if it can, it won't invest in efficiency, because for some reason that doesn't lead to profit.
I want to warmly congratulate my right honourable friend on becoming the third woman Prime Minister.
I knew this was going to be brought up. It's funny. yes, there's not been a female leader of the Labour Party, and you know that we need to do at some level. Yes, we do need to do better on that. But is that really the most important thing here? Because Thatcher was a horrible bitch. May was useless, and Dizzy Lizzie is Dizzy fucking Lizzie. We'll see what else she's got to do. But the last two weren't great. I mean, that's not to say that women prime ministers are necessarily bad because they're women prime ministers. They're bad because they've been Tories. And I think it's at least with May and now with Truss. I think it's token. It's like the token black dude. And I get that. It's funny as well. They said that none of the major seats are held by white men. Well, let's have a quick look. Okay, so Health Secretary, no, that's a white woman. Kwasi Kwarteng, no, that's a man, and he's from ethnic minority. Same with James Cleverly. Suella Braverman hits the both gender and ethnic minority. Well, minorities in politics. There's not a minority. The females aren't a minority in Britain, I don't think. Anyway, but then you get Defence Secretary, which I would say is one of the big hitters. He's white and he's a bloke, so yeah. Nadeem Zahawi, yeah, okay, fair enough. Levelling Up Secretary, which it's supposed to be important. Guess what? White man. Business Secretary. A white man. Justice Secretary. Oh, it's a white man. Oh, Education Secretary. Oh, it's another white man. Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. Quite important, considering what's going on with Brexit. White man. Secretary of State for Scotland. White man. Oh, Secretary of State for Wales. Oh, you won't guess this. White man. Leader of the Lords. White man. Chief Secretary to the Treasury. White man. Attorney General. White man. Paymaster General. White man. Minister for Security. White man. Minister for the Armed Services. White man. Minister for Climate. White man. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of the, hang on, so we got 1, 2, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 14, 30, 31, 16 are white men. Let's just count how many are white females. Okay, we'll not go with the race thing. We'll go for just the gender for a second. So Liz Truss, and I know we were doing that, but we'll go back to that in a second. Liz Truss, female. So Liz Truss, Therese Coffey, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 women. Of them, let's count how many are white. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So of the women, the majority are white women. I'm just picking on the whole thing of the the major players are all fucking, none of them are white men. Right, okay. That depends on what you class as a major player, I suppose. Yeah. It's not... Yeah. Not as diverse as you'd think. It's token. They're, in total, when it comes to ethnic minority, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 ministers of the 31 are of an ethnic minority, and the Tories seem to think that they can say that they can lord over everyone. They can lord over everyone else, that they've got the most diverse cabinet ever. Really. And when I say that it's a token anyway, I have said before on another video that I actually believe the whole fucking ethnic minority thing and gender thing is just the recent thing to cover up the argument over class. All of them look down on poor people, including, whether she says it or not, Kemi Badenoch. So yeah. Anyway.
I wish her well with her apprenticeship, and I want to ask her about pubs today. A pub restaurant in my constituency in Barnet got in touch with me to say they were struggling to find an energy supplier, and the quotes they had got hold of showed that they would be paying a 600% increase in their bill to £320,000. They can't survive that. Will she ensure her plan to tackle the energy price crisis helps businesses in the hospitality sector, which our communities value so much?
Well, my right honourable friend is absolutely right. The hospitality industry is vital.
I think that was Therese Villiers. She was, I think she was the Environment Secretary. Again, I couldn't directly quote right now, but she has said some fucking stupid things in the past that I've gone absolutely fucking nutty over.
And I will make sure in our energy plan that will help support businesses and people with the immediate price crisis, as well as making sure there are long-term supplies available.
Is she having to picture every word in her head before she says it?
Will help businesses as well as helping individual households.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I congratulate the Prime Minister on her appointment?
Nice.
When she said in her leadership campaign that she was against windfall taxes, did she mean it?
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, she kind of backs herself into it. She kind of backed herself into a corner with that one, and I think she doubles down here, but I'll let her say it herself.
Well, I thank the right honourable gentleman for his welcome. I hope that we will be able to work together, particularly on areas we agree on.
Now, I watched Phil Morehouse of A Different Bias. I watched his take on this earlier, and I agree with him. I like this. I'm never going to agree with Tories on the majority of things, but where there can be concession, where there can be compromise, there should be. Because otherwise life is just going to be, it's consistently always going to be an argument and not a debate.
And I know that we have had strong support from the opposition in opposing Vladimir Putin's appalling war in Ukraine. And I want us to continue to stand up to that appalling Russian aggression that has led to the energy crisis we face now.
Yes and no.
I am against
and yes, there is a general energy crisis at play because of the war in Ukraine. That's true. However, it is worse in this country because of Tory policies.
Windfall tax. I believe it is the wrong thing to be putting companies off investing in the United Kingdom just when we need to.
They're not investing anyway. They're just putting their money into profit. They weren't investing anyway.
Be growing the economy.
Without in some kind of legal enforcement, why are they going to invest when they can just keep raking in the profit? Stupid bint.
Thank you for that answer. I ask because the Treasury estimates are that the energy producers will make £170 billion in excess profits over the next 2 years. The Prime Minister knows she has no choice but to back an energy price freeze. But it won't be cheap, and the real choice, the political choice, is who is going to pay it.
She's going to make all of us pay for it.
Is she really telling us that she's going to leave these vast excess profits on the table and make working people foot the bill for decades to come?
Yep.
Well, I understand that people across our country are struggling with the cost of living and they're struggling with their energy bills. And that is why I, as Prime Minister, will take...
You don't understand. I swear you really actually fucking don't.
Take immediate action to help people with the cost of their energy bills, and I will be making an announcement to this House on that tomorrow, and giving people certainty to make sure that they are able to get through this winter and be able to have the energy supplies and be able to afford it. But we can't just deal with today's problem. We can't just put a sticking plaster on it. What we need to...
None of your plans... I mean, she hasn't got any plans. Okay. Really, I should hold back on this until tomorrow. But everything she said so far, none of it, will help people out substantially in the short term. And your long-term plans seem to depend on the goodwill of business. When that's exactly what Tories have tried to be depending on for the last 10 years.
To do is increase our energy supplies long term. And that is why we will open up more supply in the North Sea, which the Honourable Gentleman has opposed.
Yeah, opposed as, you know, there are better ways to do it. Quicker, cheaper, easier ways to do it. More efficient ways to do it.
That is why we will build more nuclear power stations, which the Labour Party didn't do when they were in office.
And that the Tory party haven't done since they've been in power. This is really a hilarious thing from both Boris Johnson and now Liz Truss. Oh, the Labour didn't do it when they did. We have not been in charge for over 10 years. What stopped you assholes from starting them back up yourselves? Don't fucking complain to us about it, dickheads.
And that is why we will get on with delivering the supply as well as helping people through the winter.
But I look forward to tomorrow's statement, but the money's got to come from somewhere. And she knows that every single pound in excess profits she chooses not to tax is an extra pound on borrowing that working people will be forced to pay back for decades to come. More borrowing than is needed. That's the true cost of her choice to protect oil and gas profits, isn't it?
Yep.
Mr. Speaker, the reality is that this country will not be able to tax its way to growth. The way we will grow our economy.
What is this idiocy that the right seem to think that taxing doesn't lead to growth? If you tax, put the money into infrastructure, and not just useless infrastructure, you get your growth. And not only that, but you get a foundation for growth as well.
Is by attracting investment, keeping taxes low, delivering the reforms to build projects quicker. That is the way that we will create jobs and opportunities across our country.
So, Mr. Speaker, her first act as Prime Minister is to borrow more than is needed because she won't touch excess oil and gas profits. On that topic, how much would her planned corporation tax cut hand out to companies?
The right honourable gentleman is looking at this in the wrong way.
Yes, because the right honourable gentleman does not want to view it in the sense of backing the rich people. Dick.
The last time
I sounded childish then.
The last time we cut corporation tax, we attracted more revenue into the exchequer.
Marginally. And it didn't even stick. Because then they wanted more. It's ridiculous.
Because more companies wanted to base themselves in Britain, more companies wanted to invest in our country. And if taxes are put up and raised to the same level as France, which is what the current proposal...
France, who is economically doing much better than we are.
...is, and which I will change as Prime Minister, that will put off investors, it'll put off those companies investing in our economy, and ultimately that will mean fewer jobs, less growth, and less opportunities across our country.
Mr. Speaker, it's extraordinary that not only is the Prime Minister refusing to extend the windfall tax, she's also choosing to hand the water companies polluting our beaches a tax cut. She's choosing.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Choosing to hand the banks a tax cut. She's choosing to hand the banks a tax cut. Add it all together, and companies that are already doing well are getting a £17 billion tax cut. While working people pay for the cost of living crisis, stroke victims wait an hour for an ambulance, and criminals walk the streets with impunity. Families and public services need every penny they can get. How on earth does she think that now is the right time to protect Shell's profits and give Amazon a tax break?
I'm on the side of people who work hard and do the right thing. That is why...
Work hard and do the right thing is a myth! The problem is, I'm not saying it doesn't work. The problem is that there are plenty of people who do put the work in, and then when it's time for the returns to come back, they don't come back because the system isn't set for that. Unless you can set yourself up to be on top, and unless you're that kind of personality, it's not going to be that successful, not for long. And that's the volatile nature of capitalism for you. She is wrong.
We will reverse the national insurance increase, and that is why we will keep corporation tax low. Because ultimately, we want investment right across our country. We want new jobs and new opportunities, and that is what I will deliver as Prime Minister.
You use taxes to invest, you fucking tard. Yes, on this channel I do not hold back, by the way. Not at all. TCHT is my motto. The cold hard truth. I don't give a fuck.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claims to be breaking orthodoxy, but the reality is she's reheating George Osborne's failed corporation.
We're starting this decade with the same as last decade.
Tax plans, protecting oil and gas profits and forcing working people to pay the bill. She's the fourth Tory Prime Minister in 6 years. The face at the top may change, but the story remains the same. There is nothing new about the Tory fantasy of trickle-down economics.
It doesn't work. The whole thing of it trickles down and rises and everyone rises with it. Like, no, because it's obviously not working. Why are there more food banks in Britain than McDonald's?
Nothing new about this Tory Prime Minister who nodded through every single decision that got us into this mess and now says how terrible it is. And can't she see there's nothing new about a Tory Prime Minister who, when asked who pays, says it's you, the working people of Britain.
Well, there's nothing new about a Labour leader who is calling for more tax rises.
One tax rise. He's talked about one tax rise.
Same old tax and spend. What I'm about is about reducing taxes, getting our economy growing, getting investment, getting new jobs for people right across the country. I'm afraid to say the right honourable gentleman doesn't understand aspiration. He doesn't understand opportunity. He doesn't understand that people want to keep more of their own money. And that is what I will deliver as Prime Minister. I will take immediate action to help people with their energy bills, but also secure our long-term energy supply. I will take immediate action to make sure we have lower taxes and we grow the economy. And that way, I will ensure we have a positive future for our country and we get Britain moving.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And firstly, can I congratulate my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, for a successful campaign to become our party leader and the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, it is right and proper that the government focuses its attention on rising energy costs for households across the country. But as we've heard, businesses big and small are exposed to horrific energy price increases, with no restraint provided by the domestic energy price cap and no support from government so far. For the sake of businesses in West Cornwall and on Scilly, the jobs they provide and the economy as a whole, what can my friend, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, do to ease the energy costs facing our businesses?
Well, my honourable friend is right. We do need to address the issues businesses face, and the package that we will be announcing tomorrow will do just that.
Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure the thoughts and prayers of everyone in this House will be with the families that were caught up in the terrible shooting over recess in Kyle and McCall and indeed in Liverpool as well. And we trust that the families will be fully supported. Mr. Speaker, let me congratulate the Prime Minister and her family on her appointment. But I'm sorry to say that her reputation for straight talking has falling apart at the first PMQs. After 9 questions, she's still not told us who will pay for her energy plan. Prime Minister, today the public are waiting to find out the response to the economic crisis, and they want answers. So, will the Prime Minister finally answer 2 very simple questions? Will she freeze energy prices at their current levels? And will it be paid for by a windfall tax? Yes or no?
Well, no, it won't be paid for by a windfall tax. I don't believe we can tax our way to growth. And what I want to see is I want to see us using more of our UK energy supply, including more oil and gas from the North Sea and nuclear power in Scotland as well. And I hope I can count on the SNP's support for that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I say that
we could move onto renewables a lot quicker than people suppose. We're an island nation. We do have the technology to adapt to tidal energy. But there are people that know this stuff in this country. Are the resources being put towards it? No. The same places that you put the wind the onshore wind farms. Why don't you have solar farms there too? You know, I just it's just.
her first full day as Prime Minister, she has failed to rule out.
Shh, let's hear the next question. Ian Blackford.
The Prime Minister may have changed, Mr. Speaker, but it's the same old being shouted down by the opponents. On her first full day as Prime Minister, she's failed to rule out a Truss tax on household and businesses, instead of targeting the profits of massive corporations with a windfall tax. The Prime Minister's plan appears to be a decade-long raid on the bank accounts of ordinary taxpayers. These costs must not be passed on to consumers and businesses by deferring bills. Government must announce an enhanced windfall profits tax, making sure that those oil and gas producers pay their fair share from excess profits. Does the Prime Minister understand that her first act as Prime Minister will now define her? A trust tax that household and businesses will be paying for years to come.
Well, I'm not quite sure what the right honourable gentleman's position is, because on one hand, he doesn't seem to want oil and gas extraction from the North Sea, and on the other hand, he wants them to pay more taxes.
Right. This is a perfect example of Tories trying to take facts out of fucking context. So, let me just put it to people that, yes, we don't want there to be any more, mining for fossil fuels. However, we don't expect it to end like that. Well, whilst these dickheads are rolling in all the profit, yes, we should fucking, reap the rewards of their greed. As they're going to be dying off anyway. What are they investing in? What are they investing in? Especially with the water companies, it's ridiculous.
Why does he make up his mind?
The two things aren't mutually exclusive. But she's trying to make it out as if they are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also warmly welcome my right honourable friends?
I'm not going any further. So it's not as nasty or bitchy, but yeah. From Edwina Curie to Liz Truss to Theresa Coffey and Jacob Rees-Mogg, we're fucked. This is my first recording in about roughly a week or two, nearly a week and a half, something like that, and it's not looking promising. I'm not seeing anything that much different here, apart from more incompetence, but less blasé trying to get around it. I don't know. I part of me wants to reserve judgment, but I can see what's coming. But yeah. I'm gonna let it go for now. I've had a bit of a rant. I've had a look at some of the news, and it's rather bleak. I'm not. I don't feel like this. Like everything's promising. So, yeah. Yeah. And Germany's saying it's hit the limit for, like I said, it's not good news. So, like I said, when the budget plan comes out, the statement comes out tomorrow, I'm gonna do a video on that. It's so not promising. Her thing is to cut taxes. What is that going to do? She says it's going to bring in investment. Every Tory who's ever said that has been proved wrong by the fact, they said that the privatising the water companies was going to make things more efficient because they were going to invest. And now you get the water companies saying, "Oh, don't complain at us at the Victorian system that they were supposed to invest and improve on." So yeah, this has been some. I can't say okay. This has been my particular Dolk Visco over PMQs and Edwina Curie. So yeah, you can see what's likely to come in the next months, in probably next couple of years. Bless the Thursday, and I hope everyone has a good evening.